Chapter 4. More Adventures. There was no water in the river. What was flowing was sugarcane juice and honey. Not wanting to be left behind, the golden mangoes hanging from trees on the bank also sprayed their juice into the flowing river. Where were they? Had they died and reached heaven? The boys had many questions. Vishvamitra smiled and revealed that they were in the countryside of Mithila. But before going to Mithila, Vishvamitra wanted to show them something else. It was a broken-down hut that had seen better days. The story goes back to Lord Rama, who created a daughter called Ahalya from his imagination. He made sure that there was no one as beautiful as her, his most fascinating creation. But who was qualified enough to marry her? All the demigods wished for her hand, ready to do anything for her. So Brahma chalked out a competition. The fastest one to circumambulate the entire universe would be the winner and marry Ahalya. Amongst the contestants were Lord Indra and the wise sage Gautam. To fulfill the challenge, he simply went around a cow, because Mother Cow represented the entire universe. He was thus declared the winner. Brahma was delighted to have such a wise son-in-law. Ahalya and Gautam lived in this very hut after they were married. Meanwhile, Indra was frothing with anger at having been denied a wife as beautiful as Ahalya. So one day he came to the couple's hut, disguised as sage Gautam, knowing that the sage had gone to bathe at the river. Ahalya didn't notice the difference and let him enter the house. Suddenly, the real sage Gautam appeared and found himself facing his look-alike. Indra panicked and tried to escape by transforming into a cat, but there was no way out. Gautam trembled in anger. He cursed Indra, turning him into a eunuch, and also turned Ahalya to stone. When Ahalya cried for forgiveness, Gautam felt compassion for her and said that her curse would end when Lord Rama came to the hermitage. Sad and shocked, he then left for the Himalayas. Vishvamitra pointed to the stone lying inside the hut. That was Ahalya, waiting and praying for Lord Rama to release her from this miserable existence. Vishvamitra requested Rama to touch the stone with his foot and release her from the curse. Rama obeyed his guru, not knowing what to expect. As soon as he touched the stone, it came alive and took the form of Ahalya. She cried with joy and thanked Ram for his mercy. Now, having freed Ahalya, the group then proceeded to their destination. The streets of Mithila were festooned with innumerable flags, swaying in the breeze as if welcoming Rama with open arms. King Janak was overjoyed to see the trio in his palace. He invited them for the Svayamvar of his daughter, Sita. She was to marry the one who was strong enough to break Shiva's bow. Rama and Lakshman became alert at the very thought of the bow. It was the reason they had come to Mithila. Shiva's bow was gifted to him by Vishvakarma, the architect of the heavenly planets. He had made 2 such bows, one for Lord Shiva and the other for Lord Vishnu. Having used it once, Lord Shiva gifted it to King Janak's ancestors. This is how the bow happened to be in his possession. The king then asked his soldiers to bring the bow to court. 5,000 strong men were needed to bring the bow on a cart that was pulled by 500 powerful bulls. Such was the weight of the bow. Just holding it must have given Mother Earth a chronic backache. The majestic bow filled the entire courtroom with awe. Was it a rainbow fallen from the sky? Or was it Mount Mandara, used for churning the ocean? The courtroom was buzzing with excitement. But King Janak was not so excited. In fact, he was teary-eyed. You see, no one had been able to break this bow to win the hand of his daughter. Some even thought he was a fool for having put up such a difficult condition, one that seemed impossible to fulfill. How would the darling daughter of the kingdom ever find a suitable husband with a crazy condition like this? But there was a reason behind it. You see, when Sita was a child, her ball had rolled to where the bow was kept. She effortlessly pushed the bow to search for her ball. On finding it, she placed the bow back in its place. And on another occasion, she'd actually picked it up and ran to the garden, using it to pluck flowers. The guards who saw this with their own eyes had fainted with shock. Thus, Janak had decided that the one who marries her should be her equal in strength, if not more. But now the king wondered if he had made a mistake, because he was yet to find such a person. Janak then asked Vishvamitra if Rama would like to try to lift the bow. Vishvamitra looked at the boy and gave him permission to do so. Rama stood up, walked to Vishvamitra for blessings, and then turned to the bow. There was pin-drop silence in the courtroom. Would Rama succeed? Everyone waited with bated breath. Rama touched the bow, admired it, took grip of it, and lifted it from the pedestal, like an elephant effortlessly lifts a lotus. The entire assembly jumped up, roaring with relief and excitement. Oh, but Rama was not done. He placed the bow vertically on the ground and strung it, and suddenly everyone heard a boom. A sound so deafening that it was heard not just all the way in Ayodhya, but in every corner of the planet. The bow, the pride of Mithila, was broken from the centre. While Janak was speechless with joy, Rama simply stood there, as if he had done nothing extraordinary. Sita's friends ran to inform her that the bow had been broken and that it was time for her to see her suitor. Sita entered the courtroom, dressed in bridal clothes, holding a garland. But Ram was not ready for this. How could he get married in the absence of his dear father and mother, and brothers, and the people of Ayodhya? Messengers were sent to Ayodhya to get Dasharatha's permission for the wedding and to invite him to Mithila. When the king heard the messengers, he was thrilled beyond imagination. The entire kingdom was invited to the wedding. The wedding procession was so huge that when Dasharatha, who was heading the procession, reached Mithila, the last person was still in Ayodhya, The procession was like a human sea stretching from Ayodhya to Mithila. Meanwhile, Sage Vashishta and Sage Vishvamitra were huddled together in another discussion. When they came back smiling, everyone was eager to know why. They addressed Janak and said, "We feel that since your daughter is being wedded to Rama, your second daughter Urmila can tie the knot with Lakshman, and your brother's daughters can marry Bharat and Shatrughna. This way our joy will multiply by 4 times. This was the best advice Janak had heard till now. Dasharatha too smiled and gave his approval. As the 4 weddings happened simultaneously, there was excitement in the air. The people of Mithila and Ayodhya had never experienced so much bliss before. Thus ends Chapter 4, More Adventures, from the Illustrated Ramayana for Children. Good night, children. Sweet dreams of Lord Ram. Jai Shri Ram.